It gets darker, it gets deeper. Let's dig into Donald Trump's marriage to his first wife, Ivana Trump, her very mysterious death in 2022, where she allegedly fell down steps at her Manhattan apartment. Let's talk about her potential KGB ties through her father, who seemed to be part of the secret police in Czechoslovakia, who was providing information about Donald Trump to the KGB. Let's talk about the trip that Donald Trump and Ivana took that was sponsored by the KGB to Russia in 1987. Let's talk about what Ivana says that Donald Trump did to her. She says that Donald Trump raped her. She then retracted the statement partially in connection with a book that was published. But it was after she gave deposition testimony about it. And especially everything we know that's in the Epstein files about, Epstein's connections to Russia, being reported that Epstein was a banker for Vladimir Putin. Epstein speaking to people like the former Prime Minister Norway about meeting with Sergei Lavrov and others to provide information about Donald Trump to Putin and others in Russia. The statements that are in lots of these emails and messages that seem to indicate that there was lots of murder and death in addition to the child sex trafficking ring taking place, and torture and all these horrible things. When you start reading these files that we've been covering, I think it's important that we just rip the Band-Aid off and talk about this. And I think it's important we talk about from the outset as well where Ivana Trump is buried. That Donald Trump's first wife is buried in the back lot of Bedminster. And apparently this gives Donald Trump tax breaks by having his first wife buried there, because he could claim that Bedminster is actually a cemetery, and then he gets cemetery tax credits, so he doesn't have to pay taxes out of Bedminster, which is absolutely ghoulish. And then the Trump family, at least for a significant period of time, they just basically threw Ivana in like the back lot area of like the golf course, like in the rubbish area, and they let the grass grow over it. They didn't provide any type of proper grave, like real disgusting stuff. The Daily Mail, remember, published photos of what went down. I mean, we'll talk briefly about the marriage. Donald Trump and Ivana were married for 15 years, April 1977 to December 1990. Ivana was born in Czechoslovakia, and then Donald Trump had an affair with Marla Maples. It became public right around 1989, 1990. That's when Donald Trump and Ivana got divorced ultimately in 1990. They entered into a $14 million settlement. Ivana Trump dies July 14, 2022 at the age of 73. She's being filmed and she looks fine, and she talks about her life and how happy she is. The New York City office of the chief medical examiner determined that the cause of her death was blunt impact injuries to the torso resulting from a purported accidental fall down the stairs in her Manhattan apartment. And again, I don't want you to think I'm suggesting anything here. And again, I'm entitled to my First Amendment opinion speech. I'm simply going to say a lot of people in Russia die that way. They mysteriously fall off of balconies or fall down steps or things like this, especially as we've been reading the ghoulish and horrific and grotesque and criminal and all these horrible things in the Epstein files. I think it's important to talk about this book that was written and that features this horrific incident between Donald Trump and Ivana. The book is called The Last Tycoon: The Many Lives of Donald Trump. And this is an incident that it talks about in the book between Donald Trump and Ivana. Let me just read it for you. This was while they were married. Ivana said this during a deposition. The book published it. It's graphic. I want to warn you in advance. Trigger warning. Let me just read what Ivana said in her deposition. Ivana Trump was relaxing in the master bedroom of the Trump Tower triplex, thinking about the trip she will be going to take to Tahiti. The trip will not just be for a vacation. It has to do with Donald's business. Lauren Etes, The widow of the late Trump gaming division executive Mark Ettes will be going with her. Ivana has been hoping the trip will help them get over the tragedy of the helicopter crash. Suddenly, according to Ivana, the Donald storms into the room. He's looking very angry and he's cursing out loud. "Your fucking doctor has ruined me," he screams. The Donald flings Ivana down onto the bed. Then he pins back her arms and grabs her by the hair. The part of her head he is grabbing corresponds to the spot on his head where his scalp reduction operation has been done. The Donald starts ripping out Ivana's hair by the handful as if he's trying to make her feel the same kind of pain that he is feeling. Ivana starts crying and screaming. The entire bed is being covered with strands of her golden locks, but the Donald does not finish. He rips off her clothes, unzips his pants, then he jams his penis inside her for the first time in more than 16 months. Ivana is terrified. This is not lovemaking. This is not romantic. It is a violent assault. She later describes what the Donald is doing to her in no uncertain terms. According to the version she repeats to some of her closest confidants, "He raped me." When the Donald finally pulls out, Ivana jumps up from her bed. Then she runs upstairs to her mother's room. She locks the door and stays there crying for the rest of the night. The next morning, Ivana musters up the courage to return to the master bedroom. The Donald is there waiting for her. He leaves no doubt that he knows exactly what he did to her the night before. As she looks in horror at the ripped out hair scattered all over the bed, he glares at her and asks with a menacing casualness, "Does it hurt?" Then the author goes on to say, on April 7th, 1993, when the first printing of The Last Tycoon was awaiting shipment, the publisher, who had met with Donald Trump and his lawyers on March 3rd, received the following communication from Donald Trump's lawyers. "The statement by Ivana Trump does not contradict or invalidate any information contained in this book, and it is included here only to give full expression to differing viewpoints on an important event." And then here's the statement from Ivana Trump. "During a deposition given by me in connection with my matrimonial case, I stated that my husband had raped me. I wish to say that on one occasion, during 1989, Mr. Trump and I had marital relations in which he behaved very differently toward me than he had during our marriage. As a woman, I felt violated, as the love and tenderness which he normally exhibited toward me was absent. I referred to this as rape, but I don't want my words to be interpreted in a literal or criminal sense. Any contrary conclusion would be an incorrect and most unfortunate interpretation of my statement, which I do not want to be interpreted in a speculative fashion, and I do not want the press or media to misconstrue anything that I said." And she goes on to say, "Please print this statement." And this was her retraction of what she said. This book, by the way, was written by Harry Hurt III. If you want to read the full thing, I want to read this for you as well. This was an article back in 2019 from the Daily Beast. "The family that worked for Jeffrey Epstein and Trump. Jeffrey Epstein and President Trump's first ex-wife, Ivana, moved in the same glittering Palm Beach social circles and hired members of the same family as employees. Epstein and the Trumps didn't just share the same rarefied air of Palm Beach society. The multimillionaire sex offender and at least one member of the Trump clan hired employees from the same family too. While Janice Bansiak served as Epstein's Palm Beach house manager, his wife and stepdaughter snagged jobs with another famous face in town, President Trump's former wife, Ivana," the Daily Beast learned. As Epstein's butler for more than a decade, Bansiak testified that he lived in a staff house attached to the financier's waterfront property, answered the door for girls who gave Epstein massages, and kept wads of cash to hand them on their way out. His spouse, Radhika Bansiak, is linked to Epstein's El Brio Way mansion through addresses of her driver's license and previous voter registration records. Ophelia found long-term employment working for Ivana Trump until the socialite sold her Palm Beach home in 2014. That year, Ophelia's 25-year-old daughter, a law student at Columbia University, also landed a summer job with Ivana too. An online resume for the daughter, which was found on a website, includes a job with Mrs. Ivana Trump from May 14, 2014 to July of 2014. I want to remind you all as well that Donald Trump and Ivana took a trip together to Russia, as I said at the outset, in 1987. And regarding these issues of potential spying that was taking place, let me just share this with you. Czechoslovakia ramped up spying on Trump in the late 1980s, seeking U.S. intel, aided by Ivana Trump's father. Intelligence services with KGB ties targeted high-level government officials. The Communist Intelligence Service in Prague stepped up its spying campaign against Trump in the late 1980s, targeting him to gain information about the upper echelons of U.S. government. Archival files and testimony from former Cold War spies revealed Czechoslovakia's STB carried out a long-term spying mission against Trump following his marriage in 1977 to Ivana. The operation was run out of a provincial town in Czechoslovakia where she was born and grew up. Her father, Milo Zanekic, gave regular information to the local STB office about his daughter's visit from the U.S. and on his celebrity son-in-law's career in New York. Zelnick was classified as a conspiratorial informer. His relationship with STB lasted until the end of the communist regime. Trump was, of course, a very interesting person for us. He was a businessman. He had a lot of contacts, even in U.S. politics. We were focusing on him when we knew he was influential. We had information that he wanted to be a president in the future, was what former KGB-related people were saying about Donald Trump then. So they were clearly monitoring him back then. And then FBI, Bloomberg got this, Jason Leopold, great reporter. FBI releases secret files on Ivana Trump. This is May 2023, and it talks about these links as well. And of course, there was that 1987 trip that I mentioned before. Let me get us more data points here as well. I want to share this with you. Let's pull this open. This was from 2017. Here's what Ivana Trump had to say, just so you get a sense of, this was a few years before she died by allegedly rolling down the stairs. Let's play this clip right here.
Do you miss the old life?
The old life?
Life with Donald?
I don't, no. Nothing really changed. I have a beautiful home here. I have a spectacular apartment in Miami. I have a 300-year-old fisherman houses in harbor of the Saint-Tropez. What more can I have?
This was Donald Trump and Ivana on Oprah. You can listen to this for yourself.
Do you all argue?
Yes, but not greatly. I'll tell you truthfully, we don't have tremendous fights. We should have world record-setting fights, but we really don't. We get along very well, and there's not a lot of disagreement because ultimately Ivana does exactly as I tell her to do.
See, wait a minute.
Mayor chauvinist.
Right, men? Is that right? Huh?
This is what she had to say. This is what Ivana had to say after the divorce. Just showing you some clips of her right here.
But she didn't just lose her husband. In the same year, Ivana lost the other most important man in her life when her father died suddenly of a heart attack.
I was a little bit numb, and maybe that helped me also when my father passed away, because I just say, it just cannot get any worse. It just has to get better.
You say in the book you thought the divorce perhaps contributed to your father's heart condition.
I just know that my father was devastated, and my father was humiliated because I was his pride and joy in his life. I know that he took it very hard. It's just unfortunate it did happen at a time when I did need him most.
How did you compensate for that, Ivana?
You don't.
As for her ex, Donald's new life now includes Marla, baby Tiffany, and reflections on why it is not a good idea to put your wife to work for you. When I interviewed him last year, Donald said he regretted having had Ivana run his Atlantic City casinos and the Plaza Hotel.
I think that was the single greatest cause of what happened to my marriage with Ivana.
If I look at it now, I think it was a terrible idea.
Ivana would get angry at somebody over the telephone all of a sudden who was at the casino. And she'd start shouting. And I'd say, I don't want my wife shouting at somebody like that.
Well, if you go into work and if you have 4,500 employees and the vice president, you cannot be a little pussycat.
There was a great softness to Ivana, and she still has that softness. But during this period of time, she became an executive, not a wife.
Suddenly the whole romance and whole evening goes because you're talking business and you're talking what has to be done and repaired and this, rather than being romantic with each other.
What I do find notable as well is what one of the victims, survivors, what Maria Farmer who came forward had to say about Donald Trump. And, and Maria Farmer had to say about Ivana Trump being Ghislaine's best friend. And it's notable because Melania was then friends with Ghislaine. Remember G, Sweet Pea, that they called each other. Here's what Maria Farmer had to say about Ivana Trump being best friends with Ghislaine at this time as well. Let's play this clip.
Ivana Trump was like her best friend.
And with
Ivana.
Yeah, with Ivana, then, I described that, she'd be there. How
That
often?
was creepy. So at the time, Ivana had she was doing QVC, selling jewelry, right? Online. I mean, on TV. She was like a QVC queen. Donald Trump. And Donald Trump was always hanging out with Epstein, and Ivana was always hanging out with Ghislaine.
Right.
And Ivana would say, we're going to go pick up Ivana, or Ivana's going to come. And we'd ride in the car with her. And I remember one occasion where Ghislaine's like, I have to get out right now. And she went and got a number from a child, and I saw in a uniform.
Yeah. And
everybody knew what they were doing. Everybody who surrounded them knew exactly what they were doing.
And but how often? Did you go for rides often with her and Ivana? Or,
yes.
And would she pick up girls all the time?
Yes. She didn't bring them in the car. She would get their phone numbers.
Right.
But she would drive by schools.
Right. So
as they got out.
So would she? Yeah. And what's Ivana doing at this point? What are they
sitting in the car? And I'll never forget because one day I was really weirded out by what had happened. I was really weirded out. So I'm sorry, my phone's beeping in. Just give it a second. But anyway, I've got to go in a second. But I just wanted to tell you, I was weirded out when they were driving around with this. So Ghislaine just shut me up, gave me one of those cheap bracelets Ivana was selling on QVC, and said, Ivana wants you to have this. And I threw it in the garbage.
It's notable. And then you have this clip as well of Maria Farmer, one of Epstein's victims, about an incident where she was in Epstein's office building. Let's play this clip right here, right now.
The time that is most memorable to me is the time when he hit on me. Because I was in the office. It was one of the first times I started working for Donald Trump's a sleazebag. Okay.
Yes.
It was when I started working for Epstein, and it was 9:00 at night.
Right.
And Jeffrey Epstein's office was totally empty. And I told the New York Times this, but of course they don't tell the whole thing, right? Even though Mike Baker is amazing, but they would not allow him to tell the truth. Right. So basically, I go into this office. It's 9:00 at night, and I sit down. And a few minutes later, and I'm wearing running clothes. Okay. So it was really weird. It's 9:00 at night and I'm wearing running clothes because I didn't have money. So I had to jog up there.
Right.
And so I've just struggled, for so long. So I'm like up there in the office seated, and I've got my, my running clothes on. So my legs are showing. And in walks this man that when I reported him to the FBI, said that game show host, Donald Trump, because I thought he was a game show host.
Yeah.
He's so cheesy, But anyway, so I said, I said hello to, he walks in and I just kind of acknowledged him like a head nod or something.
Yeah.
And he immediately he's standing across the room from me, and I'm seated. And he's like, oh, Maria, no, he didn't. Sorry. I was just looking at something. He's standing across the room and he's looking at me, and I'm like, oh, gross. This guy's so gross. Anyway, he's just glaring at my legs. Like, yum. I told my sister, I felt like I was his dinner or his lunch,
Yeah.
the way he was looking at me. So Epstein comes in. And by the way, I did not look good. I was like, I'm not exceptionally beautiful or anything like that. These are just gross people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just like a normal person who went on a run, and I'm seated there. So he assumed I was there for him. And this is how I know. Epstein walks up to him and goes, no, she's not here for you. And they were smirking, and Epstein whispered something. He goes, go in there. And so Trump at 9:00 at night goes in the other room. There's someone in there for him.
Right.
I don't know who, but Epstein said, no, she's not here for you.
So you can make the connections as well for yourself, but I think, especially in light of everything we've seen in the Epstein files, all of this is, I think, very, very notable. And you just tell me what you think right there. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thanks for watching.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA union made.